going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. We have going to talk about some arbitration for baseball. You got anyone who settled has already settled. Anyone who has not settled, they're going to arbitration, and the team and the player will have to figure things out. For those of you who aren't familiar with the process, it's a little tricky. How it works is the team gives what they think the player should get, and the player gives what they think they should get, and they usually have to meet in the middle. And if they can't agree by the certain deadline, then they go to an arbitration hearing, kind of like, like if in real life, if there's some sort of lawsuit over something financial in real life, you would go to arbitration. It's the same thing, except, obviously a little different because it's, a billionaire owner and millionaire player. But that's how it works. I'm going to go team by team, tell you, who agreed and who didn't agree. I'll give my thoughts. We'll start with the Angels. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani, that they actually agreed back in October, towards the end of right when the regular season ended, because they just probably didn't want to, didn't even want to worry about, because he's going free agent, they want to take him off. So he's going to make $30 million in arbitration. That's a lot in arbitration. It's going to make obviously a ton more next year. But for arbitration, he's already making a lot. Now, they were able to come to agreement with Griffin Canning, one of their young pitchers, Jimmy Barria, another pitcher, Jared Walsh, Taylor Ward, and Patrick Sandoval. They did not reach an agreement with Gio Shaw, who they acquired this offseason, or Luis Rengifo. So those guys are headed to arbitration. The Houston Astros, they were able to settle with Phil Maton, Ryan Stanek from Valdez, Jose Urquidy, Blake Taylor, and Mauricio Dubon. They could not agree with Kyle Tucker, one of the best young outfielders in baseball, so they're going to arbitration with him, as well as Christian Javier is probably going to be in the rotation this year after you lose Verlander. Athletics agree with all their guys, only 3 guys: Tony Kemp, Ramon Laureano, and Paul Blackburn. Oakland's got no players, so not a surprise there. The Blue Jays agreed with Adam Simber, Trevor Richards, Danny Jansen. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got $14.5 million, which is tied for the most for in arbitration for a first baseman, for a guy who you'll see, who I'll talk about later. They also settled with Tim Meza, Kevin Biggio, Eric Swanson, Trent Thornton, Jordan Romano, Santiago Espinal, and Dalton Varsho. Varsho's, of course, their big offseason acquisition. One of their big offseason acquisitions. They did not reach an agreement with Bo Bichette, who's their young and up-and-coming shortstop. So they're going to arbitration with him. The Braves came to agreement with Joe Jimenez, who's a reliever they picked up in a trade from Detroit in the offseason, AJ Minter, Mike Soroka, who we should see at some point this year, Tyler Matzik, Lucas Lucky, another reliever they picked up, Dan Santana, and technically Sean Murphy, but they gave Sean Murphy a $73 million extension over 6 years, which obviously buys out his arbitration years. Did not agree with Max Fried. That's an interesting one, because there's rumors they may trade Max Fried. Haven't been able to agree on an extension with him. He's got 2 years left, I think. So that's an interesting situation there with the Braves and Max Fried. The Milwaukee Brewers came to terms with Victor Caratini, Brandon Woodruff, Matt Bush, Willie Adames, Corbin Burns, Eric Lauer, Adrian Hauser, Robbie Tellez, Luis Arias, Hobie Miller, Devin Williams, Mike Brusal, Keston Hiura, and Abraham Toro. All those guys, besides Corbin Burns, I might say his name by accident, my apologies, they did not agree with Corbin Burns, who was the Cy Young National League 2 years ago, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So they're going to go to arbitration with him. The Cardinals, they come to an agreement with Jordan Montgomery, who was a big trade deadline acquisition last year, pitched great for them last couple months of the season. Chris Stratton, Jack Flaherty, Jordan Hicks, Dakota Hudson, Tyler O'Neill, Tommy Edman, and Andrew Kisner. They did not reach agreement with Ryan Helsley, who was one of the best relievers in baseball last year, or Genesis Cabrera, who last couple of years has been a very solid reliever for the Cardinals. The Cubs agreed with all 6 of their guys: Ian Happ, Roman Wick, Nico Horner, Cody Hewer, Nick Martigro, and Adrian Sampson. Arizona Diamondbacks agreed with Carson Kelly, Christian Walker, Zach Gallen, Cole Sulthor, and Kyle Lewis. Of course, Kyle Lewis from our top prospect from rookie year with Seattle. They got him in the trade this offseason. They did not reach agreement with Josh Rojas, so local arbitration with him. The Dodgers, they reached agreements with Julio Urias, who's going to make $14.2 million. Dodgers Also agree with Walker Buehler, Caleb Ferguson, Yency Almonte, Will Smith, Dustin May, Trace Thompson, Brewster Gratterall, and Evan Phillips. Did not reach agreement with Tony Gonsolin, who was one of the stars in baseball last year. So they go to arbitration with him. The San Francisco Giants agree with all 10 of their guys. Scott Alexander, John Brebbia, Jakob Eunice, Austin Slayer, J.D. Davis, who actually did play well for them. They got him for the Mets at the trade deadline last year. Mike Yastrzemski, Logan Webb, Lamonte Wade Jr., Tyler Rogers, and Thairo Estrada. Cleveland Guardians agree with all 7 of their players. Ahmed Rosario, Shane Bieber, Cal Quantrill, Josh Naylor, Zach Plessick, Aaron Savoli, and James Karinchuk. The Marlins agree with Joey Wendell, Garrett Cooper, Dylan Floro, Jacob Stallings, Pablo Lopez, Tanner Scott, and they, as well as JT Chargois, who they agreed on a 1-year deal with. They did not agree with John Birdie or Jesus Luzardo, so those 2 guys go to arbitration. Mariners agreed with Tom Murphy, Paul Sewald, and Ty France. They did not reach agreements with 3 players. Teoscar Hernandez, who's an outfielder they picked up on a trade. Diego Castillo or Dylan Moore. The New York Mets, Tomas Nido, their catcher, they signed to a 2-year extension worth $3.7 million. So that buys out the last 2 years of his arbitration, and he will be a free agent after 2024. They also came to an agreement with Joey Lucchesi, Eliezer Hernandez, who they got in the trade this offseason. That's definitely a def move. Drew Smith, P. Alonso, who's the other. He tied Vladdy's record for the $14.5 million. He actually got the deal like a day prior to Vladdy. Those 2 guys got the highest arbitration figure for a first baseman ever. Luis Guillorme and Jeff Brigham, who they got in that small trade of Eliezer Hernandez. They did not agree with Jeff McNeil. They're also second baseman, so they will go to arbitration with McNeil. Nationals, they agree with Carl Edwards Jr., Tanner Rainey, Victor Arano, Lane Thomas, Adolfo Vargas, Kyle Finnegan. And they did not reach an agreement with Victor Robles, who's one of the young outfielders. They go to arbitration with him, the Baltimore Orioles. They reached an agreement with Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, Dylan Tate, and Jorge Mateo. Did not reach an agreement with Austin Voth, so they go to arbitration with him. Not that big of a deal. Austin Voth is there for death. Padres reached an agreement with all 8 of their guys. Josh Hader, their closer, got over $14 million. It's a lot for arbitration. Juan Soto got $23 million. Wow. God knows how much money he's going to make in a year or 2. Tim Hill, Jose Castillo, Austin Noah, Trent Grisham, Asia Morahan, and Jake Cronenworth all got contracts. The Phillies agreed with Rhys Hoskins, Jake Cave, Ranger Suarez, Gregory Soto, who they recently picked up. That was a nice trade they made. He'll probably be their closer. Sam Conrad and Edmundo Sosa. They did not reach an agreement with Jose Alvarado and Serafin Domingos, 2 of their best guys in their bullpen, so they'll continue to work with them. The Pirates agree with Robert Stevenson, Miguel Andujar, who I forgot they even had, former Yankee failed prospect. Was rookie of the year a few years ago. We'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. Dwan Underwood Jr., Mitch Keller, and JT Brubaker. Did not agree with G-Man Choi, the first baseman they got from the Rays, so they're going to exchange figures with him. Texas agrees with all 5 of their players: Mitch Garver, Brett Martin, Taylor Hearn, Jennifer Hernandez, and Nate Lau. Tampa Bay Rays, they agreed with Yanni Chirinos, Sean Armstrong, Jalen Beeks, Andrew Kitteridge, Francisco Mejia, Christian Betancourt, and Randy Rosarena. They had a whole slew of guys they did not reach a deal with. Yandy Diaz, Jeffrey Springs, Harold Ramirez, Colin Poche, Pete Fairbanks, who's one of the best relievers in the game, Ryan Thompson, as well as Jason Adam. So they have a lot of work on their hands, Tampa Bay Rays, trying to get these deals done. I'm sure we'll get done, but not many teams have that many guys going to arbitration like the Rays. The Red Sox agreed with pretty much all the guys. Yeah, they agreed with all the guys. Ryan Brazier, of course, they originally agreed with Devers for the $17.5 million, and they gave him a 10-year, $330 million extension. So Devers isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Nick Pivetta, Alex Verdugo, Rob Refsnyder, Christian Arroyo, Josh Taylor, and Reese McGuire. The Reds agreed with all 7 of their players: Buck Farmer, Luis Sessa, Kevin Newman, Lucas Sims, Nick Senzel, Justin Dunn, and Tejay Antone. The Rockets agreed with all 5 of their players: Brent Suter, who I didn't realize they picked him up as a reliever. That's a pretty good signing. Denelson Lamet, Tyler Kinley, who they gave a 3-year, $6.2 million deal early in the offseason, Austin Gomber, and Brendan Rodgers. Kansas City Royals agreed with Amir Garrett, Alberto Mondesi, Brad Keller, Scott Barlow, Nicky Lopez, Taylor Clark, Josh Stallman, and Chris Bubick. Did not agree with Brady Singer, so they'll exchange figures with him. Tigers reached agreements with Jose Cisnero, Austin Mills, and Tyler Alexander. Did not, as well as Ronnie Garcia. The Minnesota Twins agreed with Emilio Pagan, Tyler Mayo, Caleb Thielbar, Kyle Farmer, Jorge Lopez, Chris Paddock, Jorge Alcala, and Kyle Garlick, who they actually just DFA'd. They did not reach agreement with Luis Arraez. It's an interesting one. They are shopping him. They're looking to trade him for some pitching help. Talking to the Marlins, maybe moving him for Pablo Lopez. Marlins are probably the top team in that sweepstakes. We'll see what happens. I'm wondering if they can give him a deal because they're trying to trade him. So we'll see what happens. He just won a batting title just last year. The White Sox, we're going to fall 5 with their player, Lucas Giolito, who I saw a video earlier. Supposedly he's got like new mechanics. He's struggled the last couple of years. See if he can bounce back. Reynaldo Lopez, Dylan Cease, Jose Ruiz, and Michael Kopech. And the New York Yankees, who were last but not least, they agreed to have Wandy Peralta, Frankie Montas, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Lou Trevino, Clay Holmes, Jonathan Losainga, Domingo Arman, Kyle Higashioka, Nestor Cortez, Jose Trevino, and Michael King. Did not agree with Gleyber Torres, so they will exchange figures with their starting second baseman, Gleyber Torres. So those are all the arbitration figures. If for the guys who have not settled, hopefully they settle soon. I'll get that news to you guys as soon as possible. With that being said, let's move on to some scores from NHL last night. Senators over the Penguins, 5-4 in overtime. Bruins over the Islanders, 4-1. I see all these Islander fans are bitching and complaining about how this team is terrible. Well, maybe you shouldn't have Lou Lamoriello run your hockey team in 2023, and maybe you shouldn't fire a Hall of Fame coach Barry Trotz and promote some random assistant. Just saying. Just putting that one out there, Lou. Just saying. Lou's got to go. All the Islander fans, I hate when the old Islander fans cry about it, but when they say fire Lou, they are right. He's got to go, and Lampert should follow him. That team is terrible. I don't know how they're even in the playoff picture, to be honest. Avalanche over the Flames, 4-1. Sharks over the Stars, 5-3. And Lightning over the Canucks, 5-2. College basketball scores from last night. DePaul, a big upset over the number 8 Xavier, 73-72. A big upset in the Big East. Number 10 Virginia over Virginia Tech, 78-68. West Virginia for an upset over number 14 TCU, 74-65. Seton Hall upsets number 15 UConn, 67-66. Number 16 Auburn over LSU, 67-49. Number 20 Marquette over number 22 Providence, 83-75. Marquette's very good this year. Keep an eye on them. And Missouri from a bit of an upset over number 25 Arkansas, 79-76. Some scores from the NBA. The Wizards over the Knicks, 116-105. Kyle Kuzma, 27 points, 13 boards, 7 assists. He's had 2 big games against the Knicks. Even when the Knicks beat them last week, he dropped 40. But Knicks, they are so mediocre. Oh my God. They are so infuriating to watch. They're doing okay with 25-21. They're like 6th or 7th in the Eastern Conference, so they'll make the play-ins. If maybe they can grab a 6th seed, but they're gonna they're gonna get clapped in the first round. I don't see them being higher than a 6th seed in the East, and if so, they're probably playing Brooklyn, Milwaukee, or Cleveland. They could probably make it a series against Cleveland, but I don't see them winning. They don't have a shot against Milwaukee, I don't think. I mean, they hung with Milwaukee a week or two ago to get the job done. With Brooklyn, they might make it a series because Knicks and Nets are, of course, rival, both playing in New York. But again, they're not going to win that series. Maybe if they're in the play-ins, you think, all right, in the play-ins, you're looking right now, it might be New York, and then you got Miami. You know, who's definitely underperforming, but they're still in the play-ins. You got Atlanta in there, then Toronto, and then maybe Toronto or Chicago, maybe. Right, so if they make the play-ins, they might come out of they should come out of the play-in tournament. But if they're looking like they're going to play either, one of the top 5 teams in the East for sure right now. Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, or Cleveland, also one of the top 4 teams in the East, and Boston probably kills them. It's probably a sweep. If they play Brooklyn, Cleveland, or Milwaukee, I think they can make it a series. Take it to 6 or 7 games, but they're not going to win the series. That's their ceiling. It is what it is. At least Knicks appear to be going to at least the play-ins this year. Better than last year, and better than what it's usually been the last 20, almost 25 years. But still, Like, I'm tired of this mediocrity. They got to do something but trade deadline, and they got to do something this offseason to get this team out of mediocrity. This team is a mess. Also, you play at Madison Square Garden, you're 11-13 at home. How? How do you have a better record on the road and you play your home games in Madison Square freaking Garden? Come on. That's a joke. Complete joke. Hawks over the Mavericks, 130-122. Deontay Murray, 30 points, 7 rebounds. Hornets over the Rockets, 122-117. Terry Rozier, 26 points. Jalen Green had 41 in the loss. Got some drama coming with Houston right now. You got teams saying that they're tanking. You had, people saying that, they gotta get some veterans in there to teach Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., all the young guys how to really play. You had John Wall currently on the Clippers. He went on a podcast saying that they were losing games on purpose and they were tanking. Remember, he was on the team, and they didn't play him because for no reason, because they wanted to work out a trade. And it took them and they didn't work it out, and he ended up sitting the whole year for nothing. They told him, all right, we're going to trade you, but trade your lines. So he was fine with sitting out half the year, so he'll be healthy for the second half for a contender. But then they couldn't work something out, so he ended up sitting out the whole year. And eventually they ended up buying him out, and he signed with the Clippers. He said, they were playing, Justin Patton. There was guys, saying in 2020 that, the Rockets should start Justin Patton because he was, at the time, probably the best option. They were losing on purpose. It's ridiculous. If they get Wembanyama, the league might want to take a look. I don't know. I mean, look, they got 2 years ago, they got the second pick and got Jalen Green. Last year, they got the third pick and got Jabari Smith. And then this year, they're gonna have a top 3 pick again. I think they might be tanking. It's 3 years in a row. I mean, the top 3 teams had the highest odds for the lottery. The percentage of the top teams getting the number pick has gone down. It used to be 21 or 22%. Now it's only at 14.5%. So this is because you have one of the 3 or you're tied for the third. You're one of the 3 or 4 teams that has the highest odds. Doesn't necessarily mean you get a top 3 pick, a top 4 pick. It's possible. Now with the changes to the lottery the last few years, but still, the Rockets have had the highest odds. It's gonna be the 3rd year in a row. They're gonna probably have a top 3 pick for the 3rd year in a row. And they're not even competitive. It's a little fishy. You have the Grizzlies over the Cavs, 115-114. Jason Band, 25 points. By the way, I'm going to jump back to the Rockets for a minute. Something else that popped in my head. De'Aaron Fox made a comment saying, how the Kings game plan for the Rockets. He says, they play a lot of one-on-one on defense, and they don't pass a lot. That's a team that shows me that's a young team that is still learning. They're playing man-to-man defense, in the NBA. That's hard to do in the NBA, especially now. And they don't pass a lot because they got a bunch of young guys with a bunch of egos. Jalen Green, look at all our top guys. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith. I'm not saying these guys are huge egomaniacs, but they're young and they got no veterans to help them out. And when they do bring in veterans, they bench them and either buy them out or work out a trade. They got to bring in some veterans. They're a team that should probably look to, take on some bad contracts and maybe, take on, a contract that's really not tradable, but maybe if they can get a first round pick or 2 along with it, they should probably do that. Just, get more draft compensation and then as well as just get a veteran or 2 in there to help to teach all these guys, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. and Jabari Smith, how to actually play this game. That's probably what they need. Heat over the Pelicans, 124-98. Bam had 26 points, 8 rebounds. Thunder over the Pacers, 126-106. Lou Dort, 22 points, 11 rebounds. Jazz over the Clippers, 126-103. Lauri Markkanen, 34 points, 12 rebounds. He's had a great year, Lauri Markkanen. I hope he makes the All-Star team this year. Nuggets over the Timberwolves, 122-118. Joker, 31 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, triple-double. It's either him or Luka for the MVP right now for me. Kings over the Lakers, 116-111. De'Aaron Fox, 31 points. The Kings are 25-18. They are 3rd in the Western Conference. The Sacramento Kings right now are a top 3 team in the Western Conference. That is just absolutely bizarre. Good for the Kings. Hopefully they don't screw it up like they usually do. Moving on to football. Before we close this thing out, The Bucs are making a lot of coaching staff changes. Of course, they officially filed their offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. Their quarterbacks coach, Clyde Christensen, retired, and the wide receivers coach, Kevin Garver, was fired. So that means they're going to get a new O coordinator, a new QB coach, and a new wide receivers coach. If you ask me, these guys are scapegoats. I mean, maybe not Clyde Christensen because he retired. Assuming he actually retired, it wasn't like the Bucs like, oh yeah, we're firing you. Let's just say you retired. Maybe because he didn't plan on coaching again, so they say you retired. Maybe that kind of like a mutual thing. Maybe we don't know. But the term I used was retired. But they fired their offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, and they fired the receivers coach Kevin Garver. I mean, if you ask me, you're the receiver coach. I mean, I don't know much about Kevin Garver, but I didn't think the receiver room was the problem at all. And he's the guy who's coaching that room. Can't imagine he did that bad of a job. Didn't hear about any drama with him this year with the receivers or anything. I don't know. And Leftwich, that's definitely a scapegoat. I didn't love the job he did this year, but Brady was washed. You know, in that offense, that offense should be putting up much more points than it did. But this is a guy who last year was up for like four different head coach jobs, and now a year later he's out of a job. He's not even an offensive coordinator anywhere. Like, Todd Bowles is the guy who needs to go. I don't think they need a new quarterback. Brady's washed. But Bowles needs to go. He's not a good head coach. He's a very good defensive coordinator. I'll take him as my D coordinator. In fact, I would have no problem if the Bucs fired him, and then basically, instead of firing him, honestly, just demote him to D coordinator. I wouldn't have a problem with that personally. Obviously, if you bring in a new coach, they're probably I'm not going to keep him. But if he gets fired tomorrow, he should have a D coordinator job, by Saturday. But like, I don't understand. Like, they're pointing the finger at the assistant coaches. Leftwich, the quarterback coach, the receiver coach, not addressing the real problem, which is Tom Brady and their head coach Bowles. Teams always do this. They because they don't want like the negative image, like, oh, you promote Todd Bowles. You should have promoted Leftwich. Oh, because they don't want to blame Brady in case they're considering bringing him back for whatever reason. I don't know. They don't have to get annoyed. I don't know what goes on in that Tampa Bay front office. So they blame the assistant. They blame the offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, who was up for 4 head coach jobs last year. Again, I think he's a bit overrated. I didn't love the job he did this year, but still, it's not like he forgot how to coach. He's a guy who we thought within the next year or two will be a head coach, and now all of a sudden he's out of a job. Like, that doesn't make any sense. The guy didn't forget how to coach overnight. That's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. By the way, why are the Steelers keeping Matt Canada? Why? I don't understand. Look, I don't like the Steelers. I don't care about them. Their fans are annoying, to be honest, and they're not my favorite team by any means. I'm a Jets fan. But I just don't understand. You got a young quarterback in Kenny Pickett who clearly has potential. Get this guy Canada's calling the worst plays I've ever seen, and he stays? I just don't understand. I love Mike Tomlin, future Hall of Fame coach. He's never had a losing season in 16 years. He's won a Super Bowl. But why are you keeping him as your offensive coordinator? I don't understand. I did read something that they're waiting to see if Tampa Bay fire Leftwich and maybe bring in Leftwich and then you axe Canada. But they announced yesterday they're planning to bring back Matt Canada, even though Leftwich was fired. So now it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. The dudes might be the worst coordinator in the league. Makes no sense. None whatsoever. That's a stupid move. That's stupid, that's dumb, and that's pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. Moving on, we got some rumors that Michael Thomas restructured his contract to create some cap for the Saints, and here he could be cut. Back in, I believe, it was 2019, he set the record for receptions in the season by a receiver, one of the greatest years receivers ever had, and he has played a grand total of 8 games in the last 3 years. Just getting that huge contract. The guy just can't stay on the field. He's a cancer in the locker room. He's starting fights with teammates and coaches. Him and the Saints, look what they've been trying to trade for ever since he signed the contract, it seems like. I would be surprised if he's in New Orleans next year, to be honest. There's rumors that the Commanders could start Sam Howell at quarterback next year. They drafted him in the 5th round this year at a UNC. And He played the last game of the season. He started. Was okay. Only threw the ball like 19 times, but in a small sample size, looked pretty good. Supposedly they are telling the guys they're interviewing to be their new offensive coordinator that the plan is for him to be the quarterback. Like, he's expected to be the quarterback at least going into free agency. So we'll see what happens. You know, the real problem there, along with the quarterback, I think Ron Rivera's got to go. He's a great guy and a wonderful man, but he's not that good of a head coach. He is very overrated. Want to hear the stat? Ron Rivera has been a head coach for 12 seasons in his league. 9 in Carolina and 3 in Washington. He has had a winning season 3 times. 3. 3 out of 12. I am not good at math, but I'm just going to take an educated guess. If there's any math folks listening and you can correct me, please do. You guys know it better than me. Last time I checked, 3 out of 12 is not great. Not great. Not too good. If at your day job, if you have 12 tasks to do and you only do 3 of them, my guess is your boss is gonna say, "Hey, 3 out of 12 ain't cutting it. You gotta pick up the slack." Not good. If a quarterback goes 3 of 12, that's not good. He's not that good of a head coach. Just want to put that out there. Wonderful man. I'll take him as an assistant coach, maybe a D coordinator, but not a good head coach. I'm sorry. He just isn't. He's got to go. I expect next year to be his last year coaching the Washington Commanders. And honestly, if they had a competent owner, he probably is out of a job by now. I would think he would be. Probably would have lost his job a week or 2 ago. But because Dan Snyder is too busy committing crimes and apparently trying to sell the team, I'm hearing by March the sale could be complete. So hopefully a new owner comes in. But what I heard is not going to be Jeff Bezos, most likely. Probably he's too busy, worrying about how much money he wasted on Thursday Night Football. To be honest, I'm hearing it's not going to be Bezos. Hopefully, whatever coach comes in tells Rivera, you got to get this team to the playoffs next year, or you're gone. Anyway, let's predict the divisional round game. Let's do my game picks for the NFL divisional round. Saturday, 4:30, Chiefs, Jaguars. Chiefs, of course, are the 1 seed. They got the first round bye. Jaguars, the 4 seed. They had the incredible comeback. Down 27-0 at the half. Had 5 turnovers in the first half. And in the second half, came roaring back to win. Jaguars are a great story. Kudos to Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson and company. But I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Jaguars hang in there, but the Chiefs is too good. I'll take Kansas City in that one. And then 8:15 on Saturday night. Eagles, Giants. Eagles got the first round bye into the first round. Giants had a much better year. Brian Daboll, I think, is coach of the year. They had an upset win over the Vikings in the first round. In the last week of the season, the Giants, with their third string players, only lost by 6 points to the Eagles. But I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. I think the Eagles are a really good football team. I know they're nicked up. Jalen Hurts' shoulder, I don't think it's 100%. I know they've been nicked up throughout the year, but they're getting some guys back. They got back some guys in the secondary. In that Week 18 game against the Giants, they got back Robert Quinn, who's one of their best pass rushers. I heard Josh Sweat, who's one of their best pass rushers, who had that scary injury last part of the year. I heard he's probably going to play. Lane Johnson, they're all pro right tackle. I heard they're going to get him back for the game. He's going to push surgery to last season with the injury that cost him the last couple of games. So I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Giants in this one. Keep in mind, about a little over a month ago, the Eagles destroyed the Giants, I think 48-22. I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it'll be in between the two matchups. I know it's hard to be a team 3 times, but I think the Eagles do it in this case. I think they're just overall just so much better than the Giants. I don't think it'll be like a 3-touchdown game like the first time. I don't think it'll be a 6-point nail-biter. I'll say the Eagles win by about 10 points. Sunday, 3 o'clock. It's a lot of time for a football game, but okay. Sunday at 3 o'clock. Bills, Bengals. Big game. Of course, last time they played, had the Damar Hamlin incident. By the way, very, very glad that Damar is doing well. Hopefully see him back on the field soon. Get well soon, my friend. He's doing great. Bills, Bengals. Both teams came into the first round matchup expected to blow their teams out of the water. Bills playing the 9-8 Dolphins with their third string quarterback down their top back, ton of guys out. Bengals playing the Ravens down with their backup quarterback, and they both almost lost. The Bills only won by a field goal. The Bengals was basically a dropped Hail Mary to win that game. They squeaked by. I'm gonna take the Bills in this one. I think the Bills are a little bit better. Both teams, didn't look their sharpest in their wild card matchups. But the Bills, I thought, Bills looked a little better. They jumped up 17-0. Then the Dolphins kind of came on, took the lead, and then from there the Bills kind of hit the gas again. Were able to hang on. The Bengals really didn't look great all night. If Tyler Huntley doesn't fumble on the goal line, Ravens might win that game. I mean, if James Proche was able to catch that tip ball in the end zone, the Hail Mary, that game goes to overtime, and then you see them losing. And what J.K. Dobbins said was stupid. He can't come out and say what he said, saying, calling out the play calling and talking about how if he had Lamar, they win. But he might be right, to be honest. If they had Lamar in that game, based on how that game went, they might have won that football game. So I'll take the Bills in this one. Sunday at 6:30, Cowboys, Niners, two of the most historical franchises. Niners, rolled past Seattle in the first round. Dallas was able to win a playoff game in the first round. That's something we don't see very often. And they rolled past Tampa. 49ers, Cowboys. I'm taking the Niners. Brock Purdy is not just a cute story. I think he's a good quarterback. He's playing really well. Yes, he's in a loaded offense, but still, he's getting the job done. Dak Prescott played great. The defense stepped up for Dallas. But, that Dallas offensive line, which down the stretch struggled a bit. They're a little banged up. They got a tough matchup with that San Francisco front seven. Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions. In zone coverage this year, Niners lead the league in defense. When they play zone coverage, it's just not a good matchup for Dallas. I'm taking the Niners. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.